Welcome to my fourth installment of MALvlog. Today's topic is a little late for starters. Boy, did I have some technical difficulties this week. I went to a coven meeting on Friday, and when I got home, I opened my laptop because it was a scheduling meeting, among other things, and my screen was cracked. So that was Friday. I just got my laptop back yesterday. So all is well in the world of Mal in terms of tech, at least for now. But that leads into my topic today, Samhain and the Underworld. Now, for newbies, I know it's spelled S-A-M-H-A-I-N, but it is pronounced Samhain. I've heard other derivations of it that are close, but that's what I stick with. So we're talking today about Samhain and the Underworld. I'm not talking about the criminal underworld, for starters. I'm talking about the underworld as portrayed not just in mythology, but in mysticism. You know, the roots of mysticism are pretty ancient. Every culture has its mystic core. So the process of death and rebirth, of going down into the underworld and rising, like if you watched American Horror Story Coven, they had that thing of descending into the underworld, and they said that part's easy, it's getting back up. That's the truth. But also crucifixion and resurrection. And in the Egyptian mystery schools, well, we don't know exactly what they did because they didn't have YouTube. So, you know, we have to go by written accounts and archaeology, etc. But what I learned was that when you went through the Egyptian mystery schools, you spent 3 days in the sarcophagus of the Great Pyramid, sealed. And if you lived, you passed. Talk about a pass-fail. But I call it the shamanic descent. In the olden days, and maybe this is still true in certain shamanic cultures around the world, in order for you to be reborn, sometimes this was also called a vision quest, by the way, if you, Clan of the Cave Bear, if you see the movie, I believe that was Daryl Hannah, she had to dig her grave and sleep in it for 3 days, or until your spirit animal rescued you, which usually meant you ate it to survive. But who knows? Again, there's no documentation of that has lasted to this day. But even putting aside the shamanic and putting aside the spiritual temporarily or the mystical temporarily, there is certainly a psychological reality of going down into the underworld. Now, to do this briefly, because I'm trying to keep this concise, there are 3 levels of the mind. I have to talk about the 3 levels of the mind. First, you have the conscious mind, the top level, the chattering mind, the monkey mind, the talking mind, where those thoughts never really stop. It is the constant repartee of the mind to keep talking. And we are not the mind. We are not the mind. Boy, are we not the mind. We are the witnesser of the mind, the witnesser of the thoughts, but that is another topic entirely. But check out Eckhart Tolle. He goes into that really well in terms of modern mystic. Underneath the conscious mind is the subconscious mind, the realm of symbols and memories, and that stuff which you know but you're not always aware. So if here's the conscious mind, the subconscious mind is under that. So it's symbolic and it's cyclic, and that's why if you were 5 years old and someone with a red shirt stole your ice cream, then you see someone in a red shirt and for some reason you get tense. What a lame example, but an example nonetheless. And then under that, so you have the conscious, the subconscious, the third level, the bottom level is called the unconscious mind, and to me that is the underworld. Correlated to the 3 divine brothers of the Olympian pantheon, Zeus, Poseidon, Hades, right? So Zeus is the upper world, the conscious mind. Poseidon is the ocean, right? He's the god of the oceans, and you could call that the subconscious mind because it is very emotional and fluid in that way. And then the third level belongs to Hades, the underworld, the unconscious mind, which is collective. Carl Jung wrote, and I believe coined the phrase the collective unconscious. So here's the thing that's directly related to Samhain. Yes, Halloween to an extent because we dress up like ghosts and ghouls and things in the non-physical realm, but really important to understand the psychological aspects as well as the spiritual aspects of going into the underworld. I believe we go in rather regularly, sometimes triggered by an external event, but not always. You know, the name Hades is the name of a god, a Greek god, actually the oldest of the Olympians, the firstborn son. And then when patriarchal religions took over, the underworld was called Hades, which isn't exactly accurate. Hades was a person, not a place. So I don't call the underworld Hades. I call it the underworld. Then later it was called Hell, which means shallow grave. And how can the collective unconscious be shallow? It's the deepest part of the mind. So yes, it certainly can be triggered by something in the outside world. Loss of any kind, abandonment, rejection, unfinished emotional business, unfinished emotional pain, unresolved issues. All of that stuff sort of dwells down there. And the thing is that if you are a witch, a Wiccan, a pagan, drinking coffee out of a Wonder Woman mug, or not, and you are tuning yourself to the cycles of nature marked by the seasonal quarters and cross quarters and the phases of the moon, which is part of the first principle of the 13 principles of belief of witchcraft, then probably you're in the underworld more than you realize. And it's not just a bad day. Going down into the underworld sounds scary, and unless you're used to it, it is scary. But everything in this world and in the interior world is neutral, meaning it's not good, it's not bad, it's just neutral. Here, wait, let me use an example. All right, pop quiz. What is it? Good or evil? Well, it's neutral. It depends on how you use it. The same with the underworld, how you approach it. Now, I'm going to draw a dotted line in between going into the underworld, the shamanic descent, crucifixion, resurrection, the phoenix transformation, rising from ashes, which, I learned about the phoenix originally from X-Men. I was a kid, comics and all that. Jean Grey, 50 Shades of Jean Grey. I never read 50 Shades of Grey. Not my thing. But then I'm going to draw a dotted line there, and then there's Dark Night of the Soul, which is a different animal, although they can often feel alike. And I'll talk about the Dark Night of the Soul another time. I've only had one of those that I'm aware of. However, shamanic descents, going into the underworld. The purpose, which I've done several times, is to go in and down and embrace the shadows. Now, what is the shadow? The shadow is a spiritual term, a mystical term, and a psychological term. The psychological shadow is the stuff that you don't want to look at, the stuff that you push behind. The idea that the shadow is fully negative, though, is false, because everything is neutral. What's in your shadow are also hidden gifts, hidden gems, hidden talents that you didn't even realize that you had. When I left the performing arts world and show business, I stopped singing publicly. And so you could say that not my whole voice, but my singing voice retreated into the shadow. I mean, I can sing in the shower and sing in the car. I was classically trained. I have a beautiful singing voice, and no, I'm not doing it in this vlog. I can still fucking crank out a song. But it wasn't until I was in Coven life many, many years later with the chanting and the toning and all of that that voice came out. And that's why I still love to sing, although it would take a team of wild horses to drag me to karaoke. But maybe that's in my shadow, the reason why. I don't know. So this past week, I got sick. That's why another reason why this vlog is a little late. Don't know what it was. My boyfriend Danny and I, we both kind of got sick at the same time, and we're still not sure if it was a flu. I don't think it was a flu. It didn't last that long, or a cold, or whatever. Or we both were eating the same thing, so maybe we both got something funky in the food, as it were. But I was kind of laid out, and I couldn't work. And I'm a Virgo. You take away my work, I don't know what to do. And then, before that, of course, the laptop cracked, the screen cracked. So, I was temporarily thrown into the underworld. But to keep in mind, my spiritual practice is so constant. It's not every single moment, but like being in the present moment. And if you read Eckhart Tolle's work, particularly The Power of Now and other things that he talks about, the pain body, he talks about going in and witnessing the pain body, embracing it, that your attention is unconditional love, which really you need to look into, because when you give your focus to something without the chattering mind at work, you are giving your unconditional love and acceptance to it, even though it may not feel that way emotionally. Particularly if you are dealing with the pain body, which is the collective interior unresolved pain and issues psychologically, but of course has a spiritual component. Well, here we are now at Mabentide, getting ready for Samhain, the last Sabbat in the witch's wheel of the year, the pagan wheel of the year. And I just know that this is the time of year when I tend to go down more, because I have attuned myself through rites and rituals and ceremonies and prayer and spiritual practice to the cycles of nature. And now we're getting ready to go into winter. Granted, at Yule, but that last month and a half in between Samhain and Yule, well, between Mabon and Samhain in my coven, we call it the dying. From Samhain to Yule, we call it the dead. That it's the time for rest and decomposition and breaking things up. But it's also a great time of forgiveness, which is not a word you see a lot in pagan parlance nowadays, or possibly ever. Probably because of its Judeo-Christian overtones. That's a lot of us learned forgiveness that way, sort of a biblical scriptural way. And the type of forgiveness that we're taught is really faulty, based more on Newtonian physics, where there is subject and object and nothing in between. More on the quantum, though, is what I'm getting at here, that we get this opportunity, I would love to say just once a year, but to me it happens year-round, to go down into the underworld. And it's interesting, conscious mind, subconscious mind, unconscious mind, Zeus, Poseidon, Hades. The way to get from the upper world, Zeus, conscious mind, to the underworld, Hades, the underworld, the unconscious mind, is by water. So crossing the river Styx. There you go. So it is about feeling, sinking down and feeling the emotions, witnessing them without them possessing you. Which leads me to a conversation about demons. And I'm not talking scriptural demons. I'm talking about those personal and collective wounds, pains, issues, emotional baggage that belong to us, yes, personally. In other words, we all have our personal set of that baggage, as well as there is collective. So, I took the opportunity. I am a witch. I've been in the underworld plenty of times. I used to call it day trip to the underworld. This was more like a weekend getaway. Didn't really leave my couch. And I'm not going into specifically what came up for me personally, but I noticed that this time while I was really witnessing, again, thank you Eckhart Tolle for the insight, that as I was just holding, embracing the shadow, the stuff I didn't want to look at, the stuff that has been in there was stuff in there from childhood. There was stuff, the child archetype. There was stuff contained within the victim-victor archetype. Wow, that was intense. But as I stuck with it, and it tweren't easy. It was not easy shit. I did it. It's not all gone, obviously. I wouldn't still be on the planet, I think, if I had resolved all of that stuff. But as I went down deeper, I began to realize I was feeling something collective. The collective fear of devastation, of nothing's ever going to work, of something's wrong with me. There's something inherently wrong with me, that I am bad. Now, my nickname is Mal, which means bad, but this was at a point so impersonal that afterwards I was given the insight by who knows what, that I had actually chipped away a little bit at the collective fear in the world and the collective self-loathing, which is all the voice of the ego, which is A Course in Miracles conversation. And I really do want to do a vlog just on my experience as a witch with the Course in Miracles, because I think witches can learn and heal and grow from anything if they're willing to look past the language. So this vlog is a little bit of a warning, or not really a warning, but the word beware? It really means be aware. Be aware that if you are tuning yourself to the cycles of nature as marked by the quarters, seasonal quarters and cross quarters and the cycles of the moon, that trapdoors to the underworld open. And if you're not aware that you are dropping down into the underworld, you could stay stuck down there. And I think that contributes to, I don't know that it's the cause of, but I think it contributes to depression and hopelessness and feeling powerless And then because of our indoctrination through culture, through our families, through whatever, we project the blame of that into the outside world, leading a rather conditional life. I can't be happy because that's happening politically, socially, financially, relationship-oriented, my physical health, whatever. And this is what I'm learning from all of this, and this is, to me, what I really wanted to share, and that's why I'm going to try and keep this relatively brief, is that if you think of the pentacle, right, five-pointed star in a circle, that it is air, fire, water, earth, and spirit. That element of air is thought, the mind. Fire, desire. Water, emotion. And earth, the body. Well, but then there's spirit. And here's the thing. No matter what happens in this world, we will never be air. We will never be the thoughts and the mind. We will never be our desires. We will never be the element of fire. We will never really be the element of water. We're not our emotions. And we will never be our bodies or any form or any conceptual form. All four of those things are temporary. Thoughts are temporary. Your desires are temporary. Your emotions are temporary. And the physical form, your body, is temporary. The one thing that's not temporary, the thing that's eternal, is spirit. So we are spirits that take on air, fire, water, and earth in order to participate and manifest in this world, which is why we came here. Reincarnation, life after death, all of that stuff, the continual unbroken line is the journey of the soul. That we are spirit, that we are soul, that witnesses and experiences and participates in all of that. And that, to me, is what the shamanic descent is about. It's not about the going into the underworld, it's about the rising. And the only thing that really can rise is the truth of who you are. The eternal part of who you are. The part that survives death, which then, according to the Course in Miracles, is birthless and deathless, that we were never really born and we never really died, because eternity can't be born or died. And by the way, eternal doesn't mean all of time, it means outside of time or timeless. So yeah, if I've been going through this already and Samhain hasn't hit, because it does come when it needs to come, it's just part of the psychological tides and cycles of healing, then to know that going into Samhain, it really is time to chill. It is time to go within, to contemplate and to forgive. And not forgive from that place of, well, you did me wrong, so I'm going to forgive you because I'm so spiritual. Oh. No. It's the feeling and the releasing of that pain that then, like fuel on a fire, that pain is like fuel on a fire. Your consciousness burns brighter and you grow and you expand and you see more. And then you understand that you cannot hold yourself culpable for past guilts, past mistakes, because you just didn't know. And then you generalize that lesson to everyone and everything. That you can't hold someone in guilt for something they didn't know. That it's all about your level of consciousness and your level of awareness. And if you're not aware of something, if you got possessed by the pain, because that's a tricky thing about the pain body, you can't hold it down forever. It's like trying to hold a beach ball under the water. You can't hold it down forever. It's going to pop up. And when it does, it's usually in a form of psychological or archetypal, if you will, possession, where your pain takes you over and you say and do things that you would never do otherwise. And to me, that's the foundation of forgiveness that I'm practicing. That, you know, somebody does some shit to me or to someone else, or even in the public, I just got to remember, they ain't woke yet to that aspect. So embracing demons, embracing shadows, this is what this season is about. And that's why, you know, I'll eat my Reese's peanut butter cups at Halloween. That's why Halloween and Samhain are not the same thing to me. Halloween is party night, and we have a big party at the Broom every year. Really looking forward to that this year. It's actually on the 31st. But I know that the chances for me to go into the underworld sort of increase because I have attuned myself to the cycles of nature. And right before winter is the dead. And then we go into winter for really 3 months. Even though we are reborn at Yule, the sun is reborn at Yule, we really don't start feeling that until at least Imbolc and Ostara, the 2 spring festivals that then lead to Beltane, which then we're awake. And to understand that these cycles, yes, are mirrored in nature, but they are internal in nature. First, it's the inside world that projects to the outside world. We create reality from the inside out. And I think as a witch, that's important to know, that when someone's really getting on my nerves, it's something from the past. It's not about the present moment. The present moment may well be a trigger. And you can create all the safe spaces you want in the outside world. You can lock yourself away, and honey, I got a hermit archetype in me that comes and goes as needed. But I know ultimately it's about facing and embracing that which is within me. That pain, that need to forgive, and the ability to forgive, which I always ask for help. Not so much of people, although, I'll talk things out with people, sounding board for a bit if that's necessary. But really it is through prayer. It is through, you could even say, ritual, spell, or ceremony, where you really ask, I am willing to forgive. I want to forgive because I am in chains, and these chains are not just of my own making, but they are made of smoke, chain smoke, which means I could just move right through them. I could just break the chains, but I don't, because they appear so very real. And help me, higher power, God, Goddess, all that is, Zeus, Buddha, Jesus, Fred, Wilma, Flintstone, whoever, help me see this differently, which is really the prayer for a miracle. So I really wish you a graceful Samhain tide. That's why I'm doing this one early, because it's coming. It's a couple of weeks away. That you're able to prepare yourself by knowing that no matter what happens, if you go willingly when it happens, I'm sure some people put themselves in the underworld deliberately. I don't. I get, it's like chutes and ladders every now and again. I just find myself plummeting down. This time, though, I thought I was okay, and I didn't know I was in the underworld until I caught a whiff of the fire lake, which is a joke, but not really. So I really do wish you all a blessed Samhain and a happy Halloween. Really party your brains out for Halloween, because Samhain, it's a month and a half. It's Samhain tide. All of the Sabbats aren't just days, they're seasons. So if you can really nail the dismount on Samhain, I don't know if anybody really can, but you do the best that you can. You forgive everything that you can. You accept and allow without being possessed by it, which means you don't think about it, analyze it. You just allow it to rise. Even the Course in Miracles says, do not bring light to your shadows. Bring your shadow to light. Allow it to come up. Because those are energies that are not who we are, but we have so heavily identified with, that we think we are depressed people, and we think we are angry people, and we think we are poor people, or we think we are whatever. But in truth, we're not really people. We are life. That was a big one this past weekend. You are not your life situation. You are life. You are the life force. You are the universal life force expressing through individual form. And by the way, so is everything else. We really are one. And I'll leave this with a quote that my guides gave me last year. I don't even remember. They said, you are all not cut from the same cloth. You are the same cloth. Now you put that up against Carl Jung's collective unconscious. The collective. We are all one. We are one light, sorted through infinite prisms and lenses to manifest individually into a world temporarily. That we are not the temporal, we are the eternal. And that not only allows me to grab onto hope, but gives me a sense of continuity that the human mind cannot handle, but that the soul knows well. So one last time, I wish you a blessed, blessed Samhain tide. Get ready, get yourselves ready, embrace it, and by all means, reach out, ask for help, find a good counselor, spiritual counselor. I'm a brilliant spiritual counselor, a good friend, to hold the right of confession in terms of confidentiality. That these things help, and there is help out there. And by all means, comment in the comment section, and I'll be glad to answer as clearly as I can. Other than that, have fun in the underworld, kids! I love you all, and I wish you all a very, very, very blessed day. Blessed be.